Hello everyone, how are you doing? It's Amanda. Today is the 13th of April 2020 and we've got a lot to talk about today. I have got post-it notes on top of post-it notes and it's been a very busy couple of days, hasn't it? In terms of things to report on anyway, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with you. Before we do any of that though, I'm going to light some sage for us all. I cleansed my room yesterday and rejigged various bits and pieces. There were a few things that needed to remain exactly as they were, including, I don't know whether you can see it, but I've still got my grid for Boris over there at the window. And although he's released from hospital and I think he's been given the all clear, although he's not back at work, I went to take it away yesterday and was very strongly told, no, you mustn't take it away yet, it's too early. So I think that grid, yes, it was about Boris, but it feels as though it's about everything that we put our energy into last week in terms of the energy of forgiveness. And it feels as though that's just some sort of little portal that I've created over there to help bring healing into whoever needs it at this time. So it's going to stay up. Can you also see my little teddy there in the window? It's quite funny because one of my family put that in the window because people are putting teddies in their windows to just sort of, I don't know, show support, I suppose, for the National Health Service and just to cheer each other up. So we've got our rainbow there, but we've got hundreds of teddy bears in this house because of course I've got kids, but the one that was chosen, which I had nothing to do with, is actually the bear that I use for distance healing. So in distance healing you have a surrogate effectively, so the teddy bear sort of acts as the surrogate. I won't go into all of that now, but it's just when I saw that particular bear had been placed in the window for everybody to see as they walk past our street, it was like, whoa, of the hundreds you could have chosen, that is exactly the right bear. So he's doing his job there. He's looking out onto my street and into the world. And I thought it'd be nice for you to see him. So there he is. Right, let's burn our sage and let's let go of any negative energy that we're holding, any energy of fear that we're holding, any darkness that we may have picked up from what we have been observing or watching. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that today. Let's just give it up to the sage. So let's light this sage and see how it burns. So just put into the fire then anything that you wish to release and let go of at the start of this week. I'll just wait for the flames to die down. Quite a lot being released by the looks of things. I'll just wait for the flames to go. So just into that put whatever you want to be released. That is a big burn, wow. The heat coming off it is quite something, I have to say. Is it going to go out? It's interesting watching the flame burn because there's always like this moment of panic where you think, oh my God, is it going to go out? Do I have to rush to the bathroom and, pour water over this? But of course it does always go out when the job is complete, when whatever has been burnt away. It feels quite symbolic really for what we're going through as a world at the moment. The virus will eventually burn itself out, but in the time that it's meant to. It's quite interesting because there's not actually a lot of smoke coming from it. It was all the fire. See, we've just got the piece left now in the bottom of the bowl. Anyway, I'm going to put that up there and it can carry on its job. You might see some smoke coming across the screen. You might not. Let's get into the subject then of today. Although, to be honest, there's lots of little things that I want to say, all of which are quite important. I hope you had a good Easter. It was certainly a very strange Easter, wasn't it, without our friends and family. I guess you had your immediate family beside you, but lots of people that we normally would see, we weren't able to travel to or get to. So, yeah, what did we do here? We just had obviously a quiet one. I wasn't going to do very much at all in terms of cooking a big meal, but it came to Sunday and I thought, actually, I need to make an effort. So I did whiz out and got some stuff, and we did have quite a nice meal. I bought some chocolate eggs for my girls, one of whom is on a health kick, so she's given them back to me, which is not a particularly great thing to do because I'm on a diet. But anyway, I guess a little bit of chocolate doesn't hurt, does it? It's really important that we're looking after ourselves during these days. And I think as it stands today on the 13th, here in the UK anyway, they are saying that probably the lockdown is going to go on for at least another 3 weeks, which takes us to May the 7th. And yeah, that feels quite a long time. So it's necessary, but what's coming to me is the importance of the basics. And the basics, what I'm saying the basics are, and this is really to also help your mental health as well at this time, is I've got 3 or 4 things written down here, all of which are pretty obvious, but can very easily get forgotten when we are in a state of anxiety or stress. And any sort of lockdown energy can bring those energies of stress and anxiety. So it's really important that we eat well as we can. Try to eat sensibly, and when I say moderately, I'm talking about not too many of the naughty things. So eating well, exercising. I'm certainly walking every single day, but if you can't get out, you can exercise at home. Certainly one of my daughters is exercising every day at home. She's watching these, videos on YouTube and doing that. So to be honest, some aspect of exercise is going to be important if you can do that. Sleeping as well, paying attention to sleep. And really, that means we've got to look at sleep hygiene, doesn't it? So trying to wind down before we go to sleep, trying to, whether it's breathing exercises, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of prayer, a little bit of winding down before sleep is really important. Keeping the room cool. Temperature is really, I find temperature is the key to me, either sleeping or not sleeping. So yeah, eating well, exercising, sleeping, and also trying to keep your mind healthy. And this sort of takes me into a subject I want to talk about, and I've already touched on, which is the importance of trying to put our energy where there is positive, life-affirming energy at this moment in time, rather than looking and searching for things that are by nature dark, which you may have no control over and which are going to deplete your energy. And I've talked about this before on the video that I did called Align to God and Nothing Else. But I'm going to go back into it a little bit now. And I'll give you an example. And I'm not going to name and shame this person. And indeed, the comment never even was shown on my channel. But it's one of a lot of comments that I'm getting at the moment where people are wanting me to look at particular subjects. Most of them are linked into conspiracy. And I know conspiracy is a trigger word for a lot of people. But until we come up with a better one, I don't know what else to call it. But I'm getting so many requests for, can I look at this? Can I look at that? And I've very clearly said, no, I'm not going to do that until there is irrefutable proof of certain things, and then of course I would look at it, but I'm not going to speculate certainly on things that are in their nature dark. So on Easter Sunday I woke up to a whole load of messages and about can I read on certain things. One of them, for example, was Bill Gates, who seems to be a particularly controversial figure at the moment. I've no idea whether he's a good guy, a bad guy, or somewhere in the middle. I haven't tuned into him, I haven't looked at him. I'm not making a comment on his energy here. But the point was, can I look at him because he is a negative person? And I thought, my gosh, this is Easter Sunday. You know, our energy shouldn't be on these figures that we may or may not think are dark, for want of a better word, that need to be exposed. This is Easter Sunday. This is Easter Sunday. This is about tuning into the Christ light. What are we doing? Where are we going wrong? Whereby we're just wanting to always look down the rabbit hole, particularly on a day such as Easter Sunday, which should be about the celebration of the return of the Christ light. So then what happened is I was sitting in my garden and the most beautiful music started sort of drifting across the fence. And it was classical in nature. And you know me, I think I've said before, I'm not a great fan of classical music. I do respect it, but it's not what I choose to listen to. But this really caught my ear and I thought, wow, that's beautiful. I didn't appreciate what it was on the day. I now do. Do you know what I'm talking about? So there was one man who really, I feel, rose to the challenge to unite us in the Christ light and in the energy of love and hope on Easter Sunday. And it was Bocelli. And he live streamed a concert for hope from Milan, from the Duomo in Milan, and it's the number one trending thing, I think, on Twitter or on social media. It's had 32 million views. I watched a little bit of it this morning and it brought me to tears. And the particular track that brought me to tears was Amazing Grace. Actually not one of my favourite songs even. And I thought, oh, do I really want to listen to this? It's not really my genre. I don't even particularly like the song. But I thought something led me to watch the video. The whole concert is there if you want to watch it on YouTube. Okay, so you can watch it and you can be deeply moved. But the particular track, Amazing Grace, it just touched me in a way that was so deep and so profound. And everyone's saying the same thing, basically, that this man managed to bring us all back to a place of sacredness and to concentrate on sacredness and to concentrate on love and light and hope. And it was so beautifully done. So I just had a look at him. I thought, I wonder what he is numerologically. So he was born on the 22nd of September 1958. He comes out as a 22, 36, 9 in numerology, colour numerology. 22 is a master number, okay? 22 is the energy that builds on the master number 11. So it's where you've woken up, okay? You are awake. And you then start to build on that. You actually start to put into action what has been awoken within you. So you've had your illumination, you've had your wake-up call, you've reached a level of understanding and a level of wisdom, and then you do something with it, okay? You actually take it out into the world. So this guy stood on his own. I think the organist was allowed into the building as well. But it's just a very, very poignant sight. Him basically standing outside. I don't know if you can see it on my phone there. You see he's standing outside the cathedral on his own, singing Amazing Grace, and his voice just goes into the world and helps to heal it. And so he's a 22, master number energy, taking it out, building on it, working with it, taking it out into the world. 36, he's also a 36. His birth, if you add up all the numbers in his birth date, comes to a 36. 36 is the energy of the one who is the lighthouse, who is the one who is here to shine the light for other people, who isn't just the lighthouse, who is actually the gateway. He's actually is the gateway energy. The gateway is the one that is this. Let me get the painting. It's this. It's the gateway energy. It's the one who stands in the gateway. And there he is. I mean, for goodness sake, he's actually standing. Can you see that? He's standing in front of the gateway, okay, singing his heart and soul out. And the gateway is inviting people to return back into their heart and to remember the energy of grace, and that grace and love can heal the world. 36, 3 and 6 make 9. 9 is the energy of Mars, so he's also got some punch, okay? He's not sort of like this little quite feeble sort of light that's flickering in the darkness, you know, and it's like, is it going to go out or is it not? It's like, no, this is a powerful, powerful light. This has got some Mars energy behind it. This means business. And this goes deep into the Mars as a colour energy is red. Red links into the base chakra. So it goes right into the base chakra. So at a time when a lot of people are feeding into fear, or are succumbing to fear, are being pulled into darkness, and I've talked about that before, you know, all credit to the people that shine the light on darkness, but they don't need an audience to do it. They've been appointed by God to do that role. You're not serving yourself by spectating. You're just not, okay? And I know that makes me deeply unpopular because there are millions of people that watch the stuff that I'm talking about, but I stand by what I'm saying. The thing that people don't appreciate is that if you're a spectator in terms of a lot of the darker things that are coming up for healing now, and you're really getting absorbed into that type of material, and you're watching and you're spectating and like, what's the latest update? What you need to realise is that by spectating in darkness, if you're not fully protected, and you won't be if you are not one of the people that's been tasked to go in there and do it, the dark can siphon off your light. That's the truth. Darkness can siphon off your light. And it's why if you watch particular videos or material or read books and you come away and you feel flat and you feel deflated, that's because there's been an energy you've had your energy sucked out of you. Okay. And it's why when you watch uplifting things like Andre, you know, belting out Amazing Grace, you come out and you feel 10 foot taller. Okay. You feel as though your heart has come back into balance. You feel as though actually whatever else is going on in the world, it's okay. There's people like that in the world. There's people like this guy in the world, you know. It uplifts you. And because you are uplifted and you're filled with light, that helps to raise the whole vibration of the planet anyway, so that any darkness that is there that needs to be brought up to the light, it'll happen. It'll happen in divine timing, in the divine way, but it doesn't need the spectators. If you're spectating, you will be getting drained, particularly if you do it consistently. And I know it because I've done it. And I felt the effects of it. So, you know, it's your choice. Carry on doing it if you want to, but realise that what you're actually doing is the dark is feeding off you, okay? Whatever is trying to be exposed is not just a person, it's not just a concept, it's actually an energy. And the more people that stand and look and peer and all, actually that dark energy is very intelligent and clever, unfortunately. And it will feed off the people in the crowd, okay? Which is why you come away and you feel weakened by it. So don't do that. Try to let the people who are tasked with bringing it up to light do their job. They don't need an audience. And concentrate instead on the light. That is what will fill you up, okay? All right. Let's get back now to some other news that's come in over the weekend. Oh yeah, talking about being unpopular, because I know I'm unpopular in terms of some of the things I'm saying here, but I have been gifted and blessed a platform here on social media, which has gone way beyond what I ever thought it would be. I'm watching a few people at the moment who have just started up their channels who are getting like, I don't know, 20 or 50 views, and they're brilliant. But I used to be that person who was getting 20 views. So now there's like 50,000 of you out there. It's like, whoa, I just never expected that. But with that platform comes it's like you just got to say what it is that Spirit are asking you to say. So that's what I'm increasingly going to do. And I am going to be triggering people, and I realise that, but I'm not going to be making apologies for it. The thing that triggered a lot of people in my last video on New York was I channeled through, I used my intuition, and I stand by what I said, which was that I was sensing that there were other states in USA which were turning a blind eye and shunning what was happening in New York. Now, maybe that's changed within the last 3-4 days. I was doing the video on, I don't know, was it Wednesday or Thursday of last week? That really upset some people, and I've had some abuse about that. A few people have been kicked off the channel because it's like, I'm not taking it. The point is that why are you triggered by something like that? Why are you taking it so personally? Because at the end of the day, whatever state you live in the USA, if you are somebody that's able to be there for your brothers and sisters in New York, brilliant. It may well be that there is 80% of you in your particular state that are like that. But there will absolutely be 20% that couldn't care less. And I'll give you an example to bring it back to the UK, okay? Because that's human nature. And that's what I'm picking up on, the people that don't care. Just because you care, that's brilliant. You wouldn't be watching my channel if you were somebody that didn't care. But don't get triggered when I call out those that don't. I went for a walk the other day down to the sea, and we're allowed out for one piece of exercise a day. And I always go for a walk. And because I live 10 minutes from the sea, I usually end up at the beach. But, we're under instructions that you're not allowed to sit down. You're not allowed to sunbathe. You're not allowed to take a barbecue and have a picnic on the beach. And everybody understands that. So the people that are on the beach, which are actually very few, it's just the locals basically walking their dog, or people like me. We walk. When we're on the beach, we walk. I also had a paddle the other day. I picked up some stones, but I'm very clear that I'm on the beach for exercise, and then I leave the beach and I walk back to my house. But of course, the other day, there are a couple of people who are just completely not obeying the rules that 95% of the people are following. They're there, sprawled out on the beach, in their bikinis and Speedos, God knows what, getting their suntan without a care in the world. And to be perfectly honest with you, it took all of my goodwill to not go up to them and say something. I really wanted to go up to them and say something, but I didn't. I let it go. Because it's always that small percentage that are there. There is always a percentage in any country, in any state, in any town, in any village, probably in any street, that actually just wants to put two fingers up, and say, no, I'm not doing it. I don't care. I don't care about, the nursing home literally round the corner that's full of old people that are vulnerable. I don't care about that person over there that might potentially get it. I want to sunbathe on the beach and spend the afternoon here, so I'll do it. That is human nature. So for me, it was almost like a test of... It did bring up some really interesting emotions with me, because I'm a very peaceful person. I'm not violent at all. I think I once did throw a plate at my ex-husband in a fit of rage in my late 20s, which I'm smiling at, but actually it's nothing to be proud of at all. So take that smile off your face, Amanda. I've never done it since. I'm not a violent person. I'm just not. But shall I say this, Metatron? He says, yeah, say it. That's what, just be real. There was part of me that wanted to go and kick the sand in this girl's face, you know, because she was so blasé and I couldn't care less about anybody else. Everyone else was walking past, everyone else was obeying, she couldn't give a damn, and she was old enough to know better. So I came home and I was stewed up about it. Because let's be honest, all of us want to lie on the beach. That's the whole point. Everyone wants to lie on the beach. It's a beautiful sunny day, it's warm weather. But the point is, if everybody does it, then you've got the problem. So you have to obey the rules. But I realised that it had brought up some anger within me. And it was like, okay, so now I need to process that. Now I need to deal with that. Now I need to let that go. Now I need to actually just forgive, you know? Just in that one silly little incident, there was a lot of learning. There was a lot of observation of my shadow side, but also my side of grace, actually, which was just like, no, let it go. She's a young girl. She doesn't understand, you know. Maybe she does, but whatever. You know, it's not, just let it go. So, yeah, so these people that are triggered by when we call out, you know, whether it's a country, a state, look at that. What is that all about? Why are you being triggered? I'm coming to the conclusion, to be perfectly honest, that people only hear what they want to hear. And that's probably true for all of us, isn't it? I think that's a big thing for all of us to work on, that we only really hear what we want to hear. I think one of the things that can help with that is to turn off some of the voices. What I'm meaning by that is I'm talking particularly about social media. I don't know about you, but I've noticed, particularly on Facebook, which I'm going to be coming off certainly within the next couple of months, probably totally. But I've noticed Metatron saying it's a bit like having 200 television stations all on at the same time. So you've got all of these people who are throwing different bits of information at you, some of which you resonate with, some of which you don't. The thing is, you're not actually listening to any of the ones that aren't on your wavelength. You're only tuning into the ones that are speaking to you. It's literally like having a TV where there's just so much on, but it's like 98% of it is, to be honest, not worth watching or listening to. It's the 2% that actually you get, you know? So I'm feeling as though in my life, I'm going to be refining. And it is one of the reasons I'm coming off Facebook, so that I can do that. I can let go of a lot of the other voices. And I'm aware, I don't know how many people I've got on Facebook at the moment. I've lost track. I don't know. Is it 17,000? Something like that. I don't know. I think it might be about 17,000. I could lose 2/3 of those people who won't follow me to wherever it is that I go in the future. But I really am at peace with it. Because, in fact, the Leo King was talking about this today. I don't watch all his videos, but I just happened to see he's put a video out where he's just topped 100,000 subscribers, and I think you get some sort of gift or something from YouTube if that happens. Well, good for him. He's worked bloody hard for it, and I really rate him. I think he's good. I've talked about him many times. But the point is, he was talking about the fact that he's grown to 100,000 subscribers, but really on the back of maybe 10,000 at the start, who stayed with him and who he was able to build on. And really it's all down to that key group that actually really get you and that actually stay with you, and who also tolerate you when sometimes you say something that actually I don't really resonate with that, but on balance I quite like what you say, so I'll come back and tune in the next time and won't throw rotten tomatoes at you. And that's really the core, that's what I'm interested in. It's like that, it's the core group. The people that are actually wanting to do the work, the people that are actually on the same wavelength of you. And I feel it's symbolic of the times we're in, which is we're all being asked to maybe let go of certain people, certain things we've been doing. This whole period of lockdown for me is about refinement. And when we open back up, whenever that is, and life returns to the new normal, I feel it'll be with maybe less people by our side, but it will be the people that actually we want by our side. Is that making sense? Because it's making a lot of sense to me. I've been doing some real deep diving and real reflection over the last few days and over Easter. And it's been really refreshing to just realise you can let things go. And the people that are with you stay. The ones that were only ever on the periphery or wanted just to throw rotten tomatoes and, you know, play around, it's fine, let them go. But also thank them for being there as part of your journey. So I'm talking about myself and my channels here, but take that down now into your life. Who are the people that really matter? Who are the people that actually you do resonate with? Who are the people that you want in this next cycle of your life? When it all boils down to it, who are the people that you want in the next phase of your life? Who are the teachers? Who are the channels? Who are the whatever, you know? So I've made my point there. I wanted one positive piece of news that's come out of this virus so far, and my God, it needed to come out, and it's only the start of a huge change that needs to take place, and we're nowhere near where we need to be. But those of you that watched the very first video I ever did on the virus, before it really kicked in, it might have been when it was in China. It was before it had struck Europe and it had become a bit real, you know. I remember posting videos where we were looking at people singing and cheering each other on from the balconies of Wuhan. And it was like, whoa, that's like a world away, and how terrible what they're going through. And then roll forward a few months, it's like, wow, it's here on our doorsteps now. So it was that very first video I did. But in that, do you remember Metatron brought through, we asked the question in terms of, well, where did this originate? And I basically brought through two strands of two answers. There was two answers that came forward, which some people found very, very frustrating. So it's like, well, which is it? But it was like, I can't say because I'm getting two answers. And one strand was linking into animals and it coming potentially from animals. And the fact that on the back of this, there was going to be a lot of change that came in terms of how animals were treated and respected in places like China. And then the other thing I think that came through was, you know, did it come from like a science lab? Because of course there's a lab in Wuhan very near to the market where the bats supposedly were. Anyway, over the weekend there's this story come out about this lady who the papers here in the West are calling Batwoman. You know, I mean, that's just typical tabloid media nonsense, isn't it? I'll try and bring up this lady's name in a moment. But this lady is a Chinese scientist, and she was muzzled basically by the Chinese because she was able to, let me get the information up. She's a virologist from Wuhan. She discovered the gene for the virus. She discovered the sequence, the gene sequence, within days of the first reported case of the outbreak. But she was muzzled from revealing the truth. It was covered up, basically. And she discovered dozens of these deadly viruses. They linked to bat caves, basically. And then there was a story about the fact that she'd traced the gene basically back to bats. But I think then that they were experimenting or researching or analysing it in the lab that was near that market. So whether it was an intentional release of that virus from that lab or whether it wasn't, it was an accident, I don't know. But it's like those two strands of information that Metatron brought through about the bats, but also about the lab. It's like it's all summed up in that one lady. Sorry, my computer is literally falling apart and it's so slow now. I can't get her name up. I need to replace it. it's interesting actually, because when you try and replace technology such as phones and laptops, there's a big drive at the moment in this country or on social media anyway. I've seen a lot of posts which is like, when this is all over, we must go back to buying more local, which I completely agree with actually, and supporting, your local country's business. I think that's good. But the thing is that a lot of the things that we rely on now, in any country, you don't necessarily have the technology. So, phones and laptops and all of the technology that we rely on, a lot of these things come from China. They come from the Far East. So it won't be a simple case of just, we can only buy from our country. It will be about, we are a world market at the end of the day. So I don't know when I'm going to get a new laptop, but maybe I should put an order in now, and one might turn up within a few months. Okay, but anyway, yeah, the good piece of information that's come on the back of from China about animals, and I don't know whether you've seen this, is that the Chinese, it's an awful thing to talk about. I've got a dog, obviously, in my house, but the Chinese have banned the eating of dogs, and they have reclassified them as a domestic animal. Some cities are also banning the eating of cats. It is literally a start, okay? There is so much more that needs to be done. The wet markets are still operating, which is horrendous. But, what we were shown by Metatron a couple of months ago now is that on the back of this virus, one of the things that would come out of it would be the highlighting of animal cruelty. And this is just the start. This is like one drip of good news and hope coming out of China. So I wanted to report that as well. Okay, anything else to say? I'm going to pull a couple of cards for us. Did I have anything else to say? No, I'm going to pull some cards for us now. What time are we at? 37. Okay. Right. I'm going to use some cards from Work Your Light by Rebecca Campbell. Let's have one card for the week ahead, please. Break the chain. Ancestral patterns, healing, rewriting the future. Let's see what goes with that. So we've got their energies coming out of a dark cave. Oh, I was just talking about the bat caves, wasn't I? I was talking about the bat caves where they believe, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but there's something linking into the bat caves and scientists who are understanding where this virus originates from. And I mean, if you really want to research it yourself. Okay, just Google bat caves, science, virus, and you'll come up with all the information you could ever possibly want. But here, I think this is linking into what I was just saying about animals. And it's almost as though this is something linking into the Chinese, which is to do with, this is the way we've always been. This is what we do. This is what we eat. This is our culture. And ultimately, there needs to be a breaking of the chain so that in the 20th century, we're moving into an era where we are operating in the light. And if we're operating in the light, then therefore the terrible practices linked into animals and abuse of animals, it can't go on. It just can't go on. It has to come up for healing. So I think that's what that is linked into, breaking the chain there. Just because we've done things in a certain way doesn't mean it's what has to happen going forward. So that's one message there linked into animals, but now take it down into your life. Where do you need to break the chain? Where do you need to break the chain? Look back at your ancestors, look back at your family, look back at what your mother was like, your father was like, your grandfather was like, your grandmother was like. What are the patterns? What are the addictions? What are the habits? What are the dysfunctional behaviours? What are the areas of lack that, for whatever reason, seem to flow down the family line? This is sort of a time to change that. Lemuria comes up, creating heaven on earth. It's happening. Okay. I mean, for Lemuria, you could read fifth dimensional earth as well. Okay, new earth. Because to me, it's not about going back to the past. It's not going back to Atlantis. It's not about going back to Lemuria. It's not about going back to ancient Egypt. It's about bringing back some of the energy from enlightened times during those eras and rebirthing them, but rebirthing them in a new way. This also feels very much almost like an Essene type energy to me, you know? The early followers of Christ who all had to, you know, sort of often lived in caves for fear of persecution, basically, a lot of the time, sort of secret societies. But the information, I'm hearing Dead Sea Scrolls as well, some of the scrolls, some of the writings from that time, maybe also this is something which is to be rediscovered. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, for example, the lost Gospels, the Gospel of Judas. It's as though we are ready to hear what has been suppressed over the years by institution. And I'm talking here in terms of faith, okay? I'm talking about religion. From the vaults of the Vatican as well, you know. The Vatican has many vaults, and there are many secret documents that have been suppressed. And I'm feeling as though, I'm not saying it's going to happen this week, but it feels as though the energy of this week is propelling this new information forward. But yeah, Lemuria, creating heaven on earth, it's happening. There is no separation. Beautiful. Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful colours and energy? I love that. Let's pull one more. Break the chain, creating heaven on earth. Soul family, call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. Yeah. Sort of ties into what I was saying earlier about it almost doesn't matter if you have less people around you. If you have the right people around you, that's what actually matters. I wouldn't be surprised at some point in time if there's a move away from social media, full stop. You know, the fact that I'm being called off Facebook, and my God, if you could feel the energy from my guides that are telling me to get the hell out of there, it's extraordinary. It is relentless. It's literally relentless. It's about many different things. It's also about mental health. I'm finding it very draining. Not the people who follow me. I'm talking about the fact that you can't just go in and do your work and come back out. You're always being distracted by this and that, and have you seen this and have you done that? There's no way, for example, to be able just to have a business page. You've also got to have a personal page, and then you have people messaging you the whole time, and it's just too much. It's just too much. And you know, if we think about the energy of the virus before it came in, and the lessons that it is presenting to us. Do you remember I said it's as though the whole world had become too much, everything had become too much, everything had become too inflated. And I think the truth is, I think social media has become very like that as well. So I think what will happen is that what I'm going to be doing, I mean, I'm the teacher here, so I feel as though I'm literally leading some of us out of this cave that we've been in. Which feels dark, and it just feels as though it's like information overload, energy overload. people masquerading, people pretending to be energy that they're not. And what we come out into is a space which is clearer, which is more defined, where there may very well be less people, but it will be the right people. And then we can do our work. You know, at the end of the day, and I know I'm having I'm from the Essene bloodline. I've said that before. And I suspect many of you have as well. And the thing is, the Essenes by nature, they had to draw back for a reasonable period of time to be able to hold the light and to be able to do their work. They didn't scatter themselves. They didn't spread themselves too thin. And I feel as though we're literally on the crux of just the most enormous change for the birth of this new world to come in. And I think, in a nutshell, what I've been trying to express really this whole video, and maybe I've done it well, maybe I haven't, what I've really been trying to express is that for us to get to tipping point, and we're so nearly there, those of us that are really tasked with doing this work now, we've got to be very, very focused. We've got to be very focused. We've got to be, the distractions have to go. The distractions have to go. The 100 TV stations on at the same time, they have to be turned off. And then we can do our work. And I can't tell you how strong that message is. I can't tell you how strong that message is. The only reason I haven't yet switched off from Facebook is the fact that I haven't quite worked out the platform to go onto and what it's going to look like. I will still be here on YouTube though, and I will still be producing free material on YouTube. That I can guarantee. Okay, so anybody that's on YouTube and has stayed with me through thick and thin, through the laughter, through the tears, through whatever, I will still always be here. Okay, let's have a card now from the Metatron deck. Red and silver. Yeah, okay, so card number 55, safety, strength and power. Base chakra energy, Mother Earth energy. Needing to preserve our strength, needing to look after our own needs, needing to look after our own health, needing to get our own house in order, to be the warrior of light. The warrior of light who goes into battle, because make no mistake about it, there is a battle on at the moment. Sorry, that's the reflection of my light. They receive pretty concise, clear instructions. They know what they're about, what they're trying to do. They're not distracted by 1,000 other things. They also don't have a whole load of baggage on their back, okay? Which again is another reason why at the moment, as a spiritual warrior, we're being asked to let go of things, possessions, people, energies, social media platforms, you know, whatever it is, so we can do our work, so we can concentrate on the truth, the light. We can fight for what is right. We can love it right. You see, we've got the Akashic Records here on the bottom of the deck as well. Metatron is the keeper of the Akashic Records. It's as though we're all ready to turn the page. But look how carefully he's reading that page, okay? He's making sure he's got all the details. And it's as though if we're going to be moving into the next phase of our life, the next cycle, then it's like we're all being asked to really properly review what we've done in this last cycle, who we've been, what we've said, who we've forgiven, who we haven't, who we've judged, who we've treated well, who we haven't. It's all got to be looked at. And you can't do that if you are constantly here, there and everywhere, and you're getting pulled down into energies that are preventing you from doing this work. It's like this is Metatron reading the Akashic records, but it's almost like he's saying, you're this person. You're being given a chance right now in this scenario that we're all going through in our world to look at the page you're on. To look at the page you're on. And to do that, it requires focus, it requires time, it requires commitment, and it requires a degree of isolation. To create this, the heaven on earth type energy. Okay. I'm going to end with a piece of writing from a friend of mine who sent me this book. It's called Renaissance, My Beloveds. It's by Edward Daniels. Now, I did an interview with Edward. It's on one of my playlists. If you've not seen it, we did it, I don't know, a few years ago now. He's a great guy. He's a really great guy. And he writes. He's a great writer. Oh yeah, I want to say something about the writers and the poets. But there's a poem that he's written here, which I just think is absolutely beautiful. And actually, he says he's dedicated it to Andrew, Rory, and the one to come. Well, actually, okay, I must have been tuning in to Andrew then. I'm going to read this poem. Oh, that's interesting. I was going to read that poem, but I've actually written it. Okay, there's two poems. Let's read this one first. This one's called My Beloveds. And it's only short, and then there's one called We Are the Counterpose. And I'll give the link down below to how you could maybe purchase this book if you would like to purchase it. My beloveds, my life is enriched, my life is all that is, to have made our contracts in pre-birth, to have had the foresight, all to grow, all to come away. My life beholds another vibration, my life holds a richer fractal, to have written our lessons, to have created our epics, all to learn, all to be. In that journey through life, I have travelled many lives. I have traversed countless multiverses, for millennia entwined. Endless stars have passed asunder, all to be with you. I am all that is, I am all that is you. Beyond measure, I am forever indebted, my beloveds. How I love thee. And there's beautiful photography in this book as well. And can you see that? We've got like a rich forest. And it reminds me of this is almost like those awful pictures we saw of the rainforest burning. And they were like the lungs of the earth as well, like on fire. And this is almost like the forest coming back to life again, being able to breathe again in this new earth. I wanted to credit the photographer because the photographs are absolutely stunning in this book. But let me read this particular poem now. Can't find the photographer off the top of my head. This is beautiful. This is called We Are the Counterpose. And let me just show you this picture that goes with it. Okay. So this is Edward Daniels. We Are the Counterpose. This is like an anthem for where we are right now, guys. Timeless visionaries, our sense of inflection profound, limitless in our impossibilities. We carried an ensemble of latent talents. Online we would come, activated we would become. The law of polarity must be observed. We are the counterpose. We are the custodians of balance. And at Gaia's behest, at your bequest, we besiege all that is not in alignment. The universal laws are to be discerned. We are the alchemists. We are the starseeds. We are the counterpose. It's just a beautiful book. And he's made it completely from his own heart. And the photographer is called Marcin Rozoko. Okay, I'll put the link below. I wanted to give a shout out to Edward. And actually, whilst we're doing shout outs, we'll do another couple. Have I got the information to hand? There's a wonderful meditation that one of you has asked to share. Elliot Robertson, that's your name. Hello, Elliot. You sent a meditation which we are all invited to listen to, that Elliot has done. I'm just trying to find your email. Let's see if I can find it quickly. Here we go. Meditation for appreciating life. He's created it with assistance from Archangel Raphael. I think it's an MP3 by the looks of it. So I'm going to see if I can link that below. So that's that as well. And it's a gift from Elliot to all of us. Thank you, Elliot. And also I have another friend. I'm very blessed to have lots of lovely friends. Juliana Sproles. She's the lady who's made a YouTube channel all to do with candles and candlelight and showing people how to make candles, and she also pulls some cards. And I'm going to put Juliana's link below as well. Now, she's emailed me last night, so I just want to see what she's had to say. She said, oh, she's doing Zoom candle classes, candle making tips. Okay, well, I'll put her link below as well. So that's 3 goodies. Juliana and the candle making YouTube channel, Edward Daniels, and this beautiful book called Renaissance, My Beloveds. Absolutely gorgeous. For those of you that have been watching my videos, do you remember we were talking about the magenta and gold? There we go. We were talking about the bee as well, weren't we? We've got to be, yeah, the bee. And Elliot Robertson as well, the free, very generous meditation that he's sharing as well. So that's enough to be getting on with for now, I think, isn't it? What time is it? It's 11 o'clock. Of course it's 11 o'clock. Coffee time. Have a good day, everybody. I'll be back again this week, and not quite sure what videos I'm going to be pulling through this week. I feel John Lennon hovering and wanting to come in and help unite us at this time. So I might very well be bringing John through. But I don't know. We'll just see what the week brings, shall we? You take care of yourselves. Take care of you. Look after you. Lots of love, everybody. Thank you for being here on my page and my channel. I appreciate you all very much. Much love. Bye-bye.